love puppetry so much. So to learn something new about this ancient form of puppetry and puppeteering, and using that as a form of self-expression, and like using it to literally have a conversation with yourself through a puppet, I find so interesting and so fun. I think this was really informative about puppeteering and the different kinds of puppeteering, and the different challenges that it can that artistically it can face, is really interesting, on top of learning about this woman and herself, and through these conversations. I think it's really interesting. I really liked it. I think honestly it could have been about like garbage, but if there's puppeteering in it at all, I'm gonna be like, oh yes, this is very cool to me. So I really loved it. I would love to see more about different kinds of puppeteering, different puppeteers, any of it. I find it really, really interesting, and I really liked it. Really well done.
Using an ancient form of puppetry to explore conversations with herself was very interesting. Because at some point you always expect, especially doing Black, it's going to go to the actual girl, and it doesn't. It goes through this puppetry and some animation to tell her story. There are parts that show it's definitely a conversation with herself because she goes off on tangents, and I know we all do that when we talk with ourselves. So it made it feel very realistic when you go off on a little tangent and then you come back to the story and do that. It actually feels like she was talking to herself instead of an audience. It makes it unique and stand out within documentaries to tell a story, because it does make it feel realistic, as if we're inside this girl's head.
This documentary was so great. I don't know much about puppetry, but I can tell you that I had an absolute grin on my face the entire time while watching this. It was really well explained, this form of puppetry and this artistry. It gave it a really deep setup and exposition, and I felt like I was getting more background to the art before I was launched into different little clips and examples of it. It was just really colorful and playful and well told, and yet the serious artistry of it was not lost. So it was a really great joy to watch.
I really enjoy when I can learn and experience something completely new to me in a documentary, and this piece absolutely provided that for me. I thought it was a great start to give us some background on this form of puppetry, just to give us a better understanding of what what we were going to see. So it was a great setup, and then to be treated to all these different vignettes of puppetry in that form really was a treat. It helped me understand the medium, and was overall just really enjoyable, really well done, great work.
Conversations with myself was such a unique idea. Um, First off, I was immediately swept away with the animation, the different forms of that slideshow esque kind of aesthetic. Um, it was very unique and creative, and I definitely enjoyed that element. I also enjoyed the concept of the fact that in reality, even though in each of these stories, they're portrayed as two people, they're really the same person having a conflict with their identity in a sense. Uh, because the general message of this was immigration and what you absorb from one culture versus what you bring from another culture, and the culture clash that kind of happens within you because of that. Um, every culture's customs and traditions are different, and going into a new world, a new territory, you start to learn some of theirs, but it will clash with yours. And I find it very helpful that the answer is to essentially take the best of both worlds, uh, keep the positive elements of your traditions, but also be willing to accept some of the positives of a new culture. Um, I feel like that's a very positive mindset to embrace going forward, and I absolutely love this one.
Conversations with myself. Um, I thought this was really, really interesting. I absolutely loved the artistry of it and having every person make their own of the like the puppet like medium, and using that as like a really huge part of the story in itself, is because everybody's was a little bit different based off of their own artistry, which I thought was really, really lovely, and um, really added something to it for me personally. And then conceptually having these kind of conversations with yourself, and I think that everybody is, you know, multidimensional and nobody is just one-sided, and so the concept itself of like having a conversation between two seemingly, you know, at odds or conflicting parts of your own person is really, really interesting in general. But I really liked their take on it and how you got all of these different conversations with all of these different people, and linking it back to honoring immigrants and honoring a group of people that isn't necessarily well represented. I thought was really, really powerful and really, really nice and good to see that kind of representation and that perspective as well, because it's, like I said, it's not something you naturally see a lot. So I thought overall it was really, really incredible, and like really personal, but they were able to do it in a way where it didn't feel like you were overstepping by watching it, which I thought was really, really nice. And I think that the puppetry aspect of that really helped with that aspect. I really enjoyed it.
I really love the approach of using the traditional puppets in this. I think it was really creative visually and artistically, and I love the narrative structure of the film and how it talks about the history of the puppets. That was really interesting, and I thought that was such a beautiful way for the youth to explore their identities creatively with themselves and using that sort of puppet style medium. Really, really great. I thought that the animation and puppet based visuals really added to the story that was being told in a really creative way.